Hey guys, welcome to Cult Film Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, it has become very clear that just because you live in a secluded lake house, hidden behind some fancy gates, doesn't mean that you're safe from golf club wielding psychopaths eager to torment your entire family. Because we're talking about funny games. And no, it's not a comedy. So let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex?
Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Please fill us out a review on iTunes. 2 weeks in a row that we don't have them, and Chris is pissed. Who's
pissed? Damn it, calm down.
Who's Chris? I haven't introduced him yet, so don't talk, Chris.
You already did.
Well, I said Chris.
We all did. We all talked.
Oh, all right. Well, fuck it. So this movie, Funny Games, came out in 2007. It's directed by Michael Haneke. I'm going to say Haneke. Is that correct?
That's a weird.
Haneke?
I feel like that
Haneke?
can't be right.
Haneke? We'll go with that.
Haneke.
Sounds great.
Had a budget of $15 million, which I'm fucking shocked by that it had that big of a budget. It rocked a box office of $1.3 million, so slayed it. It was filmed in Long Island / Austria, and it's rated R and it has a Rotten Tomato meters of 52%. If you don't know what it's about two psychopath young men who take a family hostage in their country home. As always, I'm joined by the Cult Film crew of Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbrecht.
Hey, what's up?
And Michael Salustio.
Hey.
This was Chris's pick. Chris, why'd you pick Funny Games?
I picked Funny Games because I wanted to do something a little more recent. This was 2007. You know, we've been hanging out in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. So I went with this film. I don't know if this is a cult film, but the impact that it made on me when I saw it, I saw the makings of what maybe could be a cult film in the future. I didn't think that anybody here had seen it. I'm not sure about that, but I wanted to see what you guys thought about it because it actually made a big impression on me.
Has anyone seen this movie before?
Negative.
Mm-mm.
Kyle hasn't seen it. Mike, you haven't seen it. I have not seen it either. I remember when the previews came out for this movie.
I don't even remember that.
I actually do. I do.
I remember, and you know what I thought when the previews came out? And this is kind of the how I visioned it when I was going into it. I thought to myself when I saw the previews, oh, okay, another Saw knockoff.
I saw it as, oh, look, two fucking Hampton assholes murder a family. That's how I looked at it. Like, with their white fucking, all white with the golf attire. It just screams like, I'm from Hyannisport. Like, I go to the Pottery Barn. Like, I didn't know really. It's just, yeah, that's what I thought of it when it came out. I very much remember like the posters for this film
So
and
do
like
I.
the imagery of it.
Yep.
And when you told me about this film before, when you were about to pick it, I was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
Like as soon as I saw that poster, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. All right.
Well, yeah, and Michael Pitt's in it, and I think he kind of, he's a memorable face that's attached to the film, and
He's got like a weird, like a punchable face, kind
it's
of.
like a
He
Macaulay
does.
Culkin-y
Like
kind
a
of
weird,
look.
like yeah,
He
like
definitely has a face you want to punch.
kind of a little bit,
Yeah.
or slap.
Wait, is that 90s Devon Sawa or 90s
Yep.
DiCaprio? Which one was it? That's how I
Yeah,
related to
90s
him.
DiCaprio.
to both of them. To both of them,
And
like,
it's not
you
to say
both are
that-
like 90s people.
I think that Michael Pitt looks like he's an asshole. He just plays a really good asshole.
He does.
Like he
always-
does like a smarmy shitbag.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
And that's to his credit, not to his
right.
Yeah, not knocking him.
Yeah.
No, so I went into this not really knowing what to expect because I hadn't seen it, and I was curious by Chris picking it because it is a newer film. And I was like, this is odd. Why is he picking this movie? And I wondered that to myself.
We're going to get to that?
We'll get to that. Why I wondered that. No, and then the music played.
Oh yeah.
I
I get where you're going with that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is why Chris picked it. I don't want to get into the technical stuff right away, but let's just talk about this opening song real quick while we're opening
Why
the
don't you
show.
set the scene?
well, let's be honest. It's go on.
It's basically an overhead shot of a family driving, obviously, into the country with a boat behind them, and they're listening to classical music, and they're trying to guess what classical song it is and who wrote it.
Yep.
And it's this really fucking cheesy and kind of annoying scene that I found, at least that's me personally. And then it fucking freeze frames and goes into this fucking rancid, like screamo,
Yeah.
punk rock.
Do you want me to insert a clip right now so the people
Yeah,
at home
we
can
need
hear it?
to.
Sure,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's go. Here you go, audience. Here's a clip for you to listen to of this bullshit. And there you have it. That was that bullshit.
I get a weird feeling that we've just offended like 50% of our fan base
I don't care.
by calling it weird bullshit.
I think you just offended the other 50% for thinking that they're part of that 50%.
I feel a little.
That
I
could
feel
be,
a little
yeah.
offended by
We've
it.
lost all friends.
Feel offended
I
by
feel
it.
a little offended by that.
Go ahead.
comment.
I don't care.
I
That's
think that's
shitty
short. I think
music.
that's short-sighted.
It's this terrible screeching music that you just heard. And I was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, this is a fucking Chris movie. And I was like pissed. You know? Because
You know,
of that.
what I do want
Well-
to I do want to go back to you mentioned that the opening scene you thought you took it as kind of cheesy. I also took it as cheesy, but the thing I did like about it was in the amount of time that it took for 3/4 of the credits to roll, the director did establish a semi-likable group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a Lexus commercial to me.
No,
Like
I
the
agree.
IS 300.
You know what? That's not even a bad thing
No,
because
no,
the whole
I
point of a
think that's
car
what he was
commercial
going
is
for.
totally to get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and when
liking
we get to
shit in
technical,
30
we can
seconds.
talk about that. We can talk about that look that you're describing.
Oh, did he direct a lot of IS 300?
no, I don't. Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, he was big in the IS 300s.
No, no.
He was big with Lincoln before.
No, the-
Oh, okay.
I
before
agree.
what's his name came
Before
around.
McConaughey
Yeah.
ruined the scene, just
Yeah.
dropped on the scene.
I agree. I agree with your initial reaction to that, but what once you watch the movie a few times, it really does play into, I think, the overall message of this film. And it's the jarringness of it. So yeah, you're in peaceful car ride, through the woods, and then suddenly it freeze frames on a giant, title treatment that says "Funny Games" across the whole screen, with this music by Naked City, and I think the song's called Bonehead, if I remember correctly. And it's just probably the most obnoxious song you could ever write, which I think actually is a big part of the charm of this film.
Well, with that being said, because I do want to get into this movie, because I actually want to talk about what people think this movie is about, because I have questions.
Yeah.
You know,
We might have answers.
and someone else
Most likely
might
not.
have the answer, but as I've usually found on the show, we don't.
Nope.
We
Never.
never do.
Never have
do.
answers.
Never.
I feel like people listen to the Akira episode and go, "Oh, they get it," and then they go, "What the fuck were they talking
Like,
about?"
nope, they're in the
Yeah.
same boat I am.
Yeah.
Shit.
With that being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be back in the boat.
You're the ship's captain, sir. You're aware that on board the captain's word is law, aren't you? So what do you want to do? You want to call someone? An ambulance or the police? I won't stop you. Neither will Tom. Right, Tom? Well, what are you waiting for?
You dropped the cell phone in the sink.
Why are you doing this? Why not?
Hey guys, we're back. We're talking about Funny Games 2007, not the original. We're talking about the remake. Here's the first question, Kyle, I have for you. Is this a cult film?
I don't think it is. Because I don't really hear a lot about Funny Games. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily stood the test of time or if it's necessarily been picked up by a group of really diehards and it really experienced it yet. So, I mean, it has the makings to become a cult film because there's a lot of like just weird shit going on, but I don't think it is right now.
Chris, you said that earlier. That you did say that it has the makings of a cult film. Do you think it is a cult film now, or do you think that it's going to be in the future?
Definitely not currently. I think it certainly could be in the future if cult film kind of still exists. You know, like it has.
I hope it does. We're
Yeah.
gonna be out of a job.
Yeah,
Me
what the
too,
fuck does
but-
that mean?
But I worry with the millennials and shit, dude. Like they're not as interested in film as they used to be. It
That's
seems.
true.
So,
That is true. We'll be reviewing fucking
I don't know.
Netflix originals
Maybe-
in like 10 years.
there's a lot of people out there, but I feel like they're from our generation that really like are into this. And I think this could be, yes, but I don't think it currently is.
What about you, Mike?
No, I definitely don't think it's a cult film, and I don't think that this is going to ever be a cult film. And this is why I have a little bit of what you would call an ish with Chris picking this particular version of this film.
Ooh, has an ish.
I have a little bit of an ish. I don't understand why you're going with the remake, because here's how I understand it. Okay, if this film is ever going to be considered a cult film, it's going to be based on what I feel makes a good cult film, which is some sort of unique attribute to it that fans latch on to. As I understand it, this is just a shot-for-shot American remake of an earlier film that came out 10 years ago. Shouldn't the 1997 version of this film be the cult film, and this is just the like American remake?
This is like the
Americanized version.
ring off of the Ringu.
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever
right,
the fuck it
exactly.
was.
Let the
Like-
right one in.
I don't really think that. I don't
Hold
really
on,
think that.
before you answer, I just want to say this. What Mike really means to say is bushaka.
Bushaka.
Bushaka. He just bushaka'd you. Just in your face.
I didn't bushaka anybody.
I don't really
Slam
think
I
so.
don't like the way that sounds at all.
Bushaka
It doesn't
anyone.
roll off the tongue
He
nicely.
No, very
slam dunked the
aggressive.
basketball right in your face because it was aggressive. Go ahead, answer the question.
I mean, yes, I want to agree with your idea that the earlier version should technically be the cult film because it's the earlier version, but it's the same movie with different actors.
Right, right. But that's my thing. So I actually looked into this too. Like, how many cult film remakes like have aspired to become the quintessential version
Right.
of the original, right? And I could only think of a few, which is The Thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something like that, and The Fly.
Yeah.
Like those are the only few that I could think of where they have overtook the original version, and namely because like the original versions were really kind of like bad 50s sci-fis that got like an updated treatment, and that really helped them. Like this 80s treatment really helped them. But this film, as I understand it, the original is much higher rated. The original wasn't even particularly didn't make a big splash, but I guess Naomi Watts liked it enough to produce it for an American version. Like that's the part of me, and I'm not saying that this is based on me liking the film or not liking the film, because there are things I love about this film. But I'm just in terms of us asking whether or not it's a cult film. Like I don't see how this version becomes the one over what should be like the original.
Yeah, and I get that. I
What
guess
language the original one in?
Austrian, I would assume.
Oh, okay.
So I guess it would just be a matter of opinion then on what actors you like better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen the original and this version, and personally, I prefer this version. Like, I enjoy the performances from these actors better than I enjoy the performances from the other actors. I mean, while I wouldn't say one is technically better than the other. It's just my personal preference.
Was this like kind of a thing though? Because I mean, if you look at like The Vanishing, that's like a shot for shot remake, but there's like a few things that are different.
Psycho, they did the same thing, shot for shot remake.
Yeah, but like, look, Gus Van Sant Psycho is not.
No, everybody hates it.
Yeah, they fucking hate it, and I actually didn't hate it when I saw it. I just said, "Oh, this is a shot-for-shot remake of not a Hitchcock film."
What's unique about it though is it's the same director.
It is.
It's the same director doing his own film again, and I think there's a lot revolving around the director that could maybe help this film to that status.
Coming from somebody who has seen the original and this one, like. The biggest issue I heard about this film was that it was shot for shot.
That's an issue. That was an issue. See, I didn't even think that was an issue with Psycho personally.
Right, I'm not talking about Psycho because, like you said, that was two different directors. My question is, like, why does a director do a film 10 years later there's a part of me that feels like there's some sort of responsibility, or where are you coming from, at least a decade later in your life, that you might want to explore something further or do something new. But as I understand it, the issue that with this version is that nothing new happens except that the actors are far better, as far as I've understood.
I have an answer to this.
You do?
You do?
Did you see the original?
No, I haven't seen the original, but I don't
That's
need
why I was
to.
asking him.
I don't need to see the original to have an answer to this.
Okay.
This question.
Okay.
The reason that you redo it, right, is because the original was somewhat of a hit.
I think it was
Correct?
well respected. I don't know if it was a hit per se, but
Okay. Either way, doesn't matter. I'm a studio head. What are you going to do for me? You're a foreign director. Oh, I've done this movie, made a little bit of a splash. Cool, remake it. Here's the 15 fucking million for it. It comes down to money, and it comes down to do it in English so people will actually watch it.
Wait, so you mean this director's entire his creative what's the word I'm looking for?
No.
it was for him to break into an American audience.
His
Yeah.
entire creativity is balanced on the fucking paycheck.
I'm saying no. I'm saying his,
definitely not.
I'm not saying his creativity. I'm saying the reason that this movie got a remake.
I don't think so,
Yeah.
because I really do. I got the impression from this film that the people that probably wanted to make to do an Americanized remake version of this film were probably people that really liked the original. Like,
they
it
wanna-
really did feel like a
Right?
passion project. It didn't, and 15 mil is not a big.
I don't disagree with that, but how do you get an American audience to watch a foreign film? It's much harder to get an American audience to watch a foreign film where the money is in the American audience.
Well, yeah, but this is nothing new. This is nothing new. Like, we do this to foreign films like all the time.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But
The difference.
yeah,
There's a difference, which is like in
we
terms
rarely
of
get the same director.
We rarely get a
Yeah.
shot-for-shot remake, though. There's usually something in it that certain elements are changed, or certain character traits are changed around.
Endings change sometimes.
Endings change.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like violence changes a little bit depending on the type of film. So rarely is there a shot-for-shot remake by the same director. I don't even know if there's any other time that it's happened, quite honestly. But I'm with Mike. I understand where you're coming from, because American audiences for whatever reason just can't be bothered to read subtitles. I don't get it.
Can't do it, but I can. I watch American movies with subtitles.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but I get where they're coming from there, and I get where Mike's coming from, that if I was a director and I did this movie and I thought, oh, okay, this movie was really great, 10 years later, coming back to reshoot this film, I feel like there's definitely a part of me that's going to be like, you know what, I want to try to just kind of move these pieces around a little bit different, maybe explore a slightly different emotion in this part here or here to kind of keep it fresh, because I don't think I would get approached like that and sit there and be like, no, the first movie I made was perfect. I think there's always something, and I think a lot of filmmakers kind of always have that mind of tinkering with it. Like, I mean, Chris, you've edited a film. How many times have you like fucking redone an edit and like you changed a 5-second shot, how it starts and how it ends? Like that's just kind of, I feel like how the creative mind works. So it boggles my mind that somebody would walk in and be like, no, it was fine the first time. Let's just shoot it. Here's the original script.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watch the movie and you'll know exactly what to do.
Yeah, it just seems like a strange path to take, I guess.
Yeah.
It does. Okay, so for me, it doesn't because I'm looking at it from more of like, I don't know, like I don't want to say a business end because I feel like that's wrong. But
You're looking at it from a commercialized end.
from a commercialized end,
But
not
that
only
works
that,
all the
but,
time.
but also from an artistic end too, is because if no one's going to see the original, and you have a chance to make it with bigger actors, and you think it's a solid film, which I agree, you have a solid film here, why not do it exactly the same?
I don't know. I just feel like there's zero creativity there whatsoever.
Well, he's
you
getting-
basically
but you're
you
getting
basically
it out-
showed up. You showed up on set. You
What's the most important-
probably one-taked most of it because you've done it before.
You're getting your art out to a bigger audience.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, that like maybe like the people that watch the Americanized version will go back and they'll maybe even watch the Austrian version because, hey, like there was an
That's what I
original of
did.
this, right? Exactly. But this is different than like Scorsese doing like The Departed, and then people finding out that there's a movie called Infernal Affairs, and then they can go see this Hong Kong version of the film that has differences and is based in a completely different culture, and like there are things about it. I feel like that's the same thing. I don't think that Martin Scorsese, when he saw Infernal Affairs, was like, I'm gonna do a shot-for-shot remake because I love the film so much. He walked in there and he was like, I'm doing what I'm doing with this film. Now he's a different director than the original director.
Yeah.
Now we have another director. It seems
a
like when
weird
I hear
situation.
about
But hold on, though.
directors talking about getting a second shot of their films, they almost often say, well, if I had the option to do it again, I
but
probably would have done
hold
this
on.
or this or that.
Here I am. I'm okay, Mike. I'm Paramount fucking Mexico.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Oh no, hold on. I'm Paramount Mexico. You had made a film,
Okay,
and I really enjoyed your film.
sure.
And I want you to come and make it in Spanish.
Make it in Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Are you going to make a different film, or are you going to make the same film?
Probably a different film. Because
But that's not what I want.
Yeah,
I
but,
want the same film.
this happens all the time already right now.
Because
You
if
have-
they wanted your original
you ha-
film, they
you-
would just watch that.
you
No,
have-
I'm saying as like a studio or a producer or something like that.
Yeah, but they do that all the time. They take these Korean horror films or these Japanese horror films. Like, I love your picture. I want to make it for American audiences, and they do. But they change shit around. They're not. Studios aren't so diehard on.
Oh,
I want it shot for shot. I want the concept.
Oh, I agree. No, I
have
agree with
something
you.
to say
I
on
have
that,
agree with
too.
you a lot on that. Except for with a lot of those films you're talking about cultural differences, and that's
what I
why
was
they
gonna
have to
say.
change it. And this story does not have the need to change the story for cultural differences.
Nope, not at all.
Does not have it.
It translates no matter if it's Austrian
Yep.
or American.
Agreed. Just to defend that point. With that being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about funny games.
Tell your wife not to be shy. You just have to tell her to take off her clothes. Take off your clothes, honey. Take off your clothes, honey. Bravo. What did I say? No jelly rolls.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about funny games. And here's another question I want to have for you guys because I'm interested in this because this movie's not. It does one of my favorite things in cinema, especially when it comes to horror. I love when something happens, but they don't show you and they let your mind.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I agree. I think that not showing something is probably the most gory thing you could do because your mind will come up with something so much
And
worse.
this movie is filled with it.
Yeah.
It's filled with it. My question with you guys is, what do you think was the most impactful scene then, as far in this movie as it goes? Because I have one in particular. I'm thinking of particular. So
I think I'll go first. I'll take that. I think the one that made me, if we're talking about kind of related to the violence of stuff, I would say the shot when she opens up the back of the car, the dog just flops out. I thought that was really disturbing. And I know a lot of people or some people are going to say oh, it's the kid's dead body, but you only see 3/4 of the dead body and it's totally stationary the whole time. So whereas a dog, it's fucking ragdoll.
It
just
out.
tumbles out and it hits and it thuds when it fucking hits. And I think that scene is also disturbing. And I think the thing the director did, I'm going to praise the director for, is he definitely likes long shots and long takes, and it's very
Yes, he does.
the thing it's probably
Yeah,
the
he
thing
does.
I think I love the most about Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns is he does long fucking takes, and they feel so impactful, and he does that in this film, and it really helps build suspense and helps build the feeling of anxiety when you're watching the film, and I think that scene has a nice blend of all of that, and he's playing the warm cold game with her, and then this fucking dead dog body just flops out. And it's like, God damn it.
I couldn't agree more. I am gonna go back on a little bit though and say that it is the son's dead body, and not only because you're right, he does like long shots, and that body is in that shot forever, and you're like, just take it off screen.
Yep.
Just take it. It makes you so uncomfortable, for me at least. It made me so uncomfortable. I'm like, just please pan over or something.
Yeah.
And when it finally does happen, you feel some sort of relief, which I feel like it's kind of weird because like you kind of get that feeling from the character, Tim Roth's character and what's her name's character?
Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts, thank you. And her character, because that's like the first time after like they're going through this terror that they actually have a chance to embrace and like hold each other. And it was much needed for me at that point because I was just like, fuck, man, that dead body is in that corner and I can't stop looking at it. And there's much more going on the screen, but I cannot take my eyes off that dead body in the corner because I'm fucked up.
Oh, and also, just to add to it, like the way they reveal it, you see the body and then it pans a little more and there's just a huge blood splat on the wall. So it's like you're correlating that with the child's body slumped over on the ground. And this bound woman.
And the NASCAR going off. Like, I thought it was very uneasy.
So uneasy, so obnoxious. Like,
yeah.
It really did. I'll say that scene for me was super impactful. Definitely the first time I saw it because of how long it is. It's got to be 5 minutes at least, where she's struggling to get up and move past her son's body over to her broken husband, who she then embraces. And then you finally get a breath of relief because you think everything's good to go, but and she's gotten away and she's going for help. But the way they build that whole segment, to me, it was just like super strong.
Even the point of it happening.
I will say
I was not expecting the kid to go first.
Really?
No.
Not me. I did.
Sorry, I just want to throw in one more thing. The other scene that gets me on edge is the scene where the little kid is in the neighbor's house and he's running around and Paul's in there coming for him and he puts the music on that you guys are talking about that's annoying. And it's just blaring through the house while this kid's trying to hide and he finally gets a gun, and he has like basically a one-on-one with Paul. So that scene just like
I knew where that scene was going to go too. I mean, there's some cliches you just can't get away from.
And that's thank you for bringing that up because I wanted to talk about this. Here's my question for you guys.
Wait, Mike, do you have any favorite scenes? Because before we bounce away.
No, I can tell you. Well, I mean,
or I'm sorry, not favorite scenes. You were asking most impactful.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Most impactful scene?
Yeah.
When the fucking one of the brothers gets shot. That's to me. I mean, yes and no. Okay, I could sit here and say that the entire movie is impactful because the acting is absolutely fucking top notch. Like,
oh, so good.
What I like about this film is Tim Roth and Naomi Watts just like have excellent performances, and they react in such a way that I would imagine people would act in this particular situation. The fact that like Tim Roth, you want to know what the most impactful thing for me is? Tim Roth just giving the fuck up.
Yeah. Right?
No, I agree.
Because
That's
that
good.
is such a realistic human fucking thing to do.
It's so
Is
heartbreaking.
to say like, fucking son's dead. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, what's the point? Like, he's eating that bread. I think that's the most impactful scene, is when he eats the bread as if to say, like, this is something I need to keep sustenance and I need to keep strength, and then spitting it out as to say, like, keep strength for what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna die here
I'm so
anyways,
sick, I
and I
can't
want to
even
die.
eat.
I don't even give a shit.
And then what's crazy is that on that same scene, he's sitting there with the hairdryer trying to dry out the cell phone. He spits out the food, throws the hairdryer. He like hangs his head, and then it's almost like muscle memory. He's like a robot. He just picks it up, and like the emotion on his face and the way he's holding the hairdryer like completely fucking changes like in an instant, and it's just all like just robotic doing the same motion. Like, just do this.
Now I want to say
Need to
something
do
else.
this.
The two scenes that you guys picked, that everybody fucking hated those scenes. There's a part of me that felt that they were. Now I understand that the film is about manipulation of the audience. I get that, but I thought that they were cheap shots, not low blows. I don't want to say that. Cheap effect. Like, what are the two things that you can do in a film that always get the emotion out of somebody? Kill a fucking dog, kill a fucking kid. Like, those are the two things. And as soon as I saw that dog fall out of that truck, as soon as they were like, eeny, meeny, miny, fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm like, kid dies. Like, there's no other way this goes except a kid dies. They're going to do it because they already did it already. And, like, I already know where this is going. This is what they're trying to get me to do. So, to me, I kind of felt like that scene was incredibly predictable.
Which brings me to my point I was trying to make when you said it's, cliches, is that I think what I got from this film was that's what he was trying to say. He knew that you were gonna, and I was waiting for the that's the thing with this movie. You're always waiting for the twist, or you're always waiting for the people to come out and end. And he never gives it to you. Even with the rewind scene from when the guy gets shot, he never gives it to you. And I think that was the point of saying, "Look, I know you know this structure. You've seen it 1,000 times in horror movies, and you think I'm going to give you what you want." But I'm not. And the bad guys are going to win. And we're going to laugh in your face the whole time we're doing it. Because they're throwing out like what I call screamisms. Like if you watch Scream, they were lying about who they are and like the different stories. It's all comes from Scream. Like, and I was like, oh, they're ripping off Scream here. And I saw different parts where they were ripping off different movies. And I was like, oh, they want me to believe that this shit's going to turn out all right. And they want me to, they know that I'm going to think the dog's going to fall out of somewhere or something like that. Or, like.
I mean, the way they build it, there's no way you can't know what's coming.
They
like
tell you ahead
the dog's
of time.
they do. The dog is
That's what I'm
barking incessantly.
It's all on purpose and cliche on purpose because I feel like he's like saying something about the genre in general. And like, I'm going to give it to you, but I'm not going to give you exactly what you're used to and exactly what you want.
I do want to clarify, though, Chris, you just brought that up, is that I knew everybody would know that the dog is dead. It's the way that the dog is revealed that I found was shocking.
Sure, yeah, I agreed.
I knew it was fucking dead.
Because,
right.
Because who do you...
The second he grabbed the golf club, he's like, "Can I try this out?" I'm like, "Well, that fucking dog's dead."
Yeah, I mean, it could have been she walked around the corner, a close up of a dog's body. Like it could have been any of those things.
Could have been something simple.
The way they did it, I'm not going to say that I didn't like the way they did it. I mean, whether they just got a teddy bear from KB Toys or some shit and just drop it out of a thing. I don't know how they did that, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I imagine it wasn't a real dog's body.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
because this happened to me when I was watching it, and this was one of the things that I found prolific in watching it. I should say for myself was that with a lot of horror movies, especially in general, you find yourself maybe halfway through, maybe at the end, cheering for the bad guy because you somewhat feel sympathetic for him in a way.
No.
Or you have some kind of like for that. Like you don't cheer for Freddy Krueger?
Never.
Oh, I do.
You don't cheer for fucking. You don't cheer for Jason. You don't cheer for fucking Michael Myers. Bullshit.
You know what?
You cheer for him to kill those annoying campers every single time.
There's a difference there. I think there's a definite difference where you have Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy Krueger. They're all like brand icons. They're almost like the brand icons of horror movies in general. So they're like your Cheeto Man or your fucking cool spot. Of course you're going to like enjoy seeing the movies with them in it. The difference is when you take another film that is kind of a unique concept idea and they give you a serial killer or a killer or a villain in something, and they don't actually give you a concrete reason why. It makes that person much more terrifying, in my opinion, because he doesn't have a reason why. Which means I'm not going to root for him.
No, Michael Myers was that same way, but you don't root for Michael Myers now.
What are you talking about?
Hold on.
There's a total fucking difference.
There's a difference. Hold on. I really want to say that there's a difference because there's a difference between your typical slasher film. I think there is meant to be a disconnect between the audience and what are supposedly supposed to be the protagonists. The only person you're ever supposed to be rooting for in a slasher film is the final girl, which is why you get all she's virginal, she's clean as driven snow. Like there's a reason why these archetypes exist for you to relate to because you kind of want. It has to be a sense of you're rooting for the violence and the spectacularness of it because you can't digest that in a real world setting. I understand that part. I get. Now, do I ever root for Freddy Krueger? Not as a like. There's a disconnect between me and him because he's not a real fucking thing. Yeah. These guys, the way they portray everything in this, like it's so human that there's no. I can't imagine there's anybody that's rooting for that kid to get shot.
No, I don't. But that's the thing is like I don't think like. That's also what I think the point he's trying to make is as a filmmaker is that, you know, we had gotten to a point, and especially in 2007, where horror was at a level to where people are rooting for the bad guys, and we got a movie to where it was like, honestly, when I first started watching this movie, I thought the family was corny. I hated them. I thought it was cheesy, and as the movie went along and got more realistic and the terror got more terrifying, like I was totally rooting for them. And the fact that he would not give me the win, the director would not give me the win of this family winning and coming out on top of these kids fucking pissed me off, which I thought was great.
Yeah, but you were bringing something up about how at some point in the film, yeah, even in the middle and the end, you start to root for the killer. So did that happen in this film?
No. I'm saying that's what I liked about this movie because in most horror movies around that time in 2007, you're mostly rooting for the bad guys at that time.
I don't think I root for the bad guy. I think what I root for in horror films, especially like slashers, is I love special effects. So I'm always just like, what's the next kill? Is it going to be like really spectacular? It's not. It's not. I'm rooting for this person and what he stands for. I'm rooting for the spectacle of the show.
Well, we should take out the word rooting from this conversation because it's not about rah fucking go Freddy. It's like, what's the appeal to this movie?
No, exactly. Like, that's not true though. Also, what I'm trying because there's people where there's times where I'm like, you know what? That fucking asshole who's cheating on his girlfriend in this Friday the 13th movie, who's a real dick to the black guy, the remake I'm talking about. You know what? I can't wait till he gets a machete in the face.
That's what I'm saying. There's a purposeful disconnect that they're trying to make between you and the people getting killed.
But it also
which is why the one girl that always survives is always somebody that has absolutely no fucking faults.
Yeah.
But they didn't give you that in this.
Did this family have any faults?
No.
Had
Nothing.
Zero faults.
The wife was a little bitchy up front, but you know.
mean, why? Because the guy was irritatingly asking her for eggs 95. Like, I mean, I can understand. It drops her.
I think she sensed it. I think she obviously did.
She did from the get go because like after he asked for eggs, she asked what for, and he said I don't know.
Somebody walks in with white gloves, I'm suspicious. I'm just gonna say that.
Somebody walks into my gated house. To my back door, and I'm already like, who the fuck are you and why are you in my home?
Which is why I wanted to say that it was so important that we talked about Long Island, because this is clearly like a Hamptons thing. Like that's a typical fucking like, you know, young men walking around with fucking all white, like
with eggs,
bullshit fucking golf at get-ups or tennis get-ups.
Yeah,
ready to go sailing,
blending in.
Yeah, boat shoes and fucking low-rise.
That's what
socks.
you do when you go to the Hamptons, right?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I imagine it's not unusual to see somebody like this.
But even she realized it's unusual to have somebody walk up to her back door when the property is completely fenced and gated in.
Right.
Like you'd have to get in the water and swim to get there. So she realized that. I'm just saying, if it was me in the situation and a stranger walked up to the door, I wouldn't even fucking let him in. But like, I don't fucking who you are.
Good thing we have movies like this to teach us that.
That's right. We learned fucking lessons on Cult Film and Review. How to survive the world.
Let me ask you guys this question. What did you think? Because it did take me out of it. It was the most jarring scene and it took me right out of the movie and made me go, is this maybe a lot more deeper than just a horror movie? What did you guys think of the rewind scene where he rewinds?
That's just,
I didn't like it.
Because I mean he breaks the fourth wall before that.
He does.
I have no problem with breaking a fourth wall whatsoever. I feel like they're.
But don't you think that the rewind scene was trying to make some sort of? I don't know exactly what that statement may be.
I know. I think I know what it is.
I think that entire scene was simply part of the we're going to play off audience expectations, and the whole time you're there, you're thinking she's going to get a win, she gets the fucking win. And then he basically, I feel like the rewind scene was just the director's way of putting a giant middle finger on the screen and just aiming it at the audience.
I
Like,
think
man,
so,
fuck
too.
you.
That's absolutely 150% correct.
And I didn't.
Wow,
the
that's
thing
a lot of correct.
And here's the thing. I totally appreciate why he would do that. I mean, that's great. You just fucked with my emotions on
It's been
a
happening
scale,
the whole film.
on a scale that I can't even fucking like measure. But the thing I didn't like about it was the way he went about it. I thought it was cheesy. Where's the remote? Let me click the rewind button and do it again. It's like I don't know what other way you could do it, but I just thought that was just overly silly for the tone of the film that I was sitting through. But I liked the middle finger though. That's why I'm torn.
I think it again is just so super jarring to the rest of the film that
It is very jarring to
that
the rest
it's
of the
like
film.
that it you're right, it is like a middle finger, like, oh, I almost gave you what you wanted. You know, you all wanted to see one of us die.
Yep.
You got it, but then I took it away from you.
I feel like that was that I mean that's the point in the film. As soon as he hits the rewind button, the film is over. Like any ounce of emotional hope, connection, or attachment anybody in the audience has to any of these
He
characters,
does it again,
it's done.
too. He does it again.
What? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. He does the same fucking thing.
With the knife, you knew that knife wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, what I'm saying is, like, playing on these, like, popular fucking themes that you would see in a movie. Everybody knows, like, if you fucking do a close-up on some object at the beginning of a film,
Yep.
that motherfucker's gonna show up
I was
later
thinking about
on.
the knife.
It's
I was
gonna
thinking
be
about the
thing,
knife
and
the
you're gonna be
entire
like,
movie.
oh, you remember? You know, like, and that was one of those scenes where it you know, again, as soon as they started getting in the boat, I was like, and fuck you for what you're about to do with this knife.
Yeah,
I knew that was going to
I
happen.
distinctly remember watching it, and like as soon as it saw him kick the knife, I was like, "Oh, this knife's gonna come into play." And as the film went on, it was still in the back of my mind, like, "Oh, well, there's still the knife." And then after that rewind scene, like, who fucking cares if there's a knife? She's dead. This ain't gonna work. And then that whole last scene where they're having this weird, deep conversation, like, I was very disconnected because I knew she's just going to get pushed in the water or something, and then they're going to end up at another house. That was the whole reason they got in the boat to begin with. So it's just, yeah. It's a weird way to end the film. Because you lost me. You took my hope away too soon, I think.
Really?
I don't think so.
I didn't feel that way. When
I agree.
You actually thought there was a chance after
No.
that?
at that point, anything felt game because it was like
Why?
now we literally interjected something totally outside of like normal expectations of filmmaking. That like, why wouldn't I expect something random to happen
Because
after that?
There was nothing random about that. It was absolutely in line with the entire theme of the movie, which is, hey, everybody, we're
I'll
going to
agree
kill
with
this
that in
family, and it's
hindsight,
always going to be this
yes.
way. And guess what? There's nothing going to change in this whole film.
Yeah, once you watch it, that makes sense. But if it's your first time through, I feel like
This was my first time through.
Yes, but not everybody's going to try to predict that such scenario. For
If
me,
you're-
I did not.
If you're a good horror movie watcher, you're predicting everything.
You know, and here's the thing: is I agree with you in the fact that you knew that stuff was going to happen, right? Which, for me at least, made it made the suspense and it made the terror of it worse because it's like this is just going to happen, and I don't want this to happen, and it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
No,
it's
and
gonna
I totally agree with
happen.
that. And the thing that I think I said this at the beginning of the show, and I will praise this movie for like building suspense. Like I think he did a great job of it. I knew the concept of the film. I knew what was going to happen, but I couldn't help myself from getting carried away with the film because, again, like Mike pointed out, the acting was on point. And you really bought into these characters. My thing was like, and I think even the director kind of, I don't know, but I even think the director kind of knew that last scene in the boat was kind of just like a throwaway because the way that it's even shot, it doesn't have the really long takes, and it's not as quiet as a lot of the others like long takes are. Like in the film, like in terms of the audio track, it's when there's like suspense and shit happening, there's
Silent.
nothing. It's not even like there's not even like room tone. But that scene, you hear birds, you hear waves rapping against the boat, you hear wind blowing, and the way that shot is done, it's like such a quick shot of her trying to cut the thing. It's just like it's like a throwaway. Like you just fucking give up at this point.
Can I tell you where he builds it back up though? At least for me, it was was the fucking shot of the Chuck standing on the front of the boat as it's pulling into the dock of the neighbors.
With the red dock.
Yep, because then again, you got the quietness. You got that one long shot.
The scene that the audio track completely drops down again.
Yep, you got that one long shot, and then it's starting right back over again. I feel like that was supposed to be like almost your one thing of relief, and it's almost for the killers rather than for the audience, where it's like, here's this break for them where they can kind of just be themselves, but they're gonna start up again right here, and it immediately starts up just like the film started, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was it for me. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about funny games.
Wait a second. I'm gonna play a little music for us.
Hi, Georgie.
Don't come any closer!
Cock it. Pull the hammer back.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about funny games. I kind of want to get into the technical stuff a little bit, if we could. If you would indulge me.
Indulge away.
Man, I have a hard time knocking this technically.
I don't think there really is much.
Whew.
You can knock it.
It is beautifully shot. I personally enjoy the shots that are like 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
In this movie, I don't find them boring. There's always some sort of.
Well, can I say there was one scene, the scene where she goes out the window for the first time, and then it's like the shot of like a greenhouse next to a house.
Right.
I thought like my DVD had paused or something like that, and I was like hitting it like, am I on pause? Because it was such a long shot where it was just that greenhouse.
Yeah.
And nothing was moving in the background.
Yeah.
I literally thought
I would agree with
like,
that. I think if any of the long shots could go away, it could be that, because I mean, there's not enough information in there for me to really gather any kind of sense of stress or anxiety that the character was feeling, because it's such a faraway shot.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, holy
Man,
fuck.
the way they did the sound was fantastic. Also, just you're
Very
right,
minimalist.
very, and it made some of those scenes so tense for
Made
me.
him real.
Yeah.
Real life does not have a score.
Nope.
It's fucking weird creaks in a house. It's weird noises in the background. Like, that's it.
Definitely adds to the claustrophobic feel of the entire film, and
Yeah.
and it also accentuates the sounds you do get, because there's so little of it, that when you hear that NASCAR, television show on, during that scene, it's like so like it's almost ear piercing.
No, yeah, it is, and I felt the same way her character did, which was just turn it the fuck off.
Right.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
I can't deal with
Totally.
this anymore. Turn it off. And, it was relieving when she did. And the acting is just another level.
Top fucking notch.
Another level. Because I felt it was played correctly. Like, so coming into the film, like I said, I didn't really enjoy the family that much because it felt very Brady Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the movie went on, I was like, oh, that was the way it was supposed to feel. And now it's getting, as this terror is building and this situation is unfolding, it's getting more real and the characters are getting more real. And I can't help but feel
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, there's
for these people.
there's even simple scenes that feel that felt very real, with like when they launch the boat and it's the father and son are in the boat and they're just setting up the mast and getting it all set up, and it's like you have the dog barking, they both look over, and it's just like, whatever, we'll get to it. I feel like that was a very human, very real reaction to that situation, like.
Yeah.
And the dog stops barking. They both kind of look for a while and just kind of like, I'll check on it in a minute. It's like they're like, I just feel like the actors in this film like played such human, normal people so fucking well that you couldn't help but be kind of taken away or taken on the journey of the film a little bit.
I'm going to tell you something. The Roth hit a home run with this one.
Tim Roth?
Yes.
He's been phenomenal in everything that I've ever seen him in.
True, but man,
Tim Roth is a fantastic actor, and he was great for this.
What I think the major shining point of the acting is the subtlety of everything. Like,
because that's real life.
Yeah, and it's just, but it's how tense it can be in its subtlety. Like you see it in Tim Roth's red bloodshot eyes. You know, you see it in a single tear rolling down the kid's face. Plus, they gave it this whole like magazine like kind of look to it. You know,
it felt clean. It was
Yeah.
the way I would describe it. Clean.
like glossy magazine.
Well, it's definitely supposed to be clean. I mean, these guys are like, the funny thing about it is like these guys are wearing all white. They don't get a drop of blood on them until somebody puts a shotgun shell through its chest. You know what I mean? Like, I found that weird that they're like shooting kids and shit like that, and there's blood all over the walls, there's blood over the ceilings, but they're pristine white
Yeah.
clothes, never get a drop on them.
right.
You know, one scene I do like too, and since we were on the topic of Tim Roth, the slap
Oh,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a great scene because what I like about it is it shows it's the move that someone would do when they have the reluctance
Yes.
of violence. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like he slaps him. He doesn't punch him. He doesn't like go all out. You know, a more aggressive person would have fucked those kids up. You know what I mean? Like you walk into like fucking Marine's house or something, you're gonna fuck those kids up. You know what I mean? You can tell he's not a man that is apt to violence. He's probably never had to use it before.
Right.
So he does this move that is, yes, an attack, but altogether so safe.
Yeah.
Like and it just reeks of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought it said so much about his character,
Mm-hmm.
especially when at the end not at the end, but like halfway through the fucking film when he's like, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I failed you." It's like
As soon as he says that, as soon as he says "I'm sorry," it's like instantly in my mind just flashes that scene of him slapping the guy, and it's like, I get it, man. I get where you're apologizing.
Like
You
he could have went
didn't-
two ways. He could have said nothing and been like, maybe that would have saved them, although I highly doubt that probably would have.
No.
Or he could have just been like, "Honey, get the gun." You know what I mean? Like,
He could have, I mean, honestly, like he could have listened to his wife, you know? He was like kind of resisting her too. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand the situation.
sure, yeah,
Like,
there was a lot of that
I think
too.
that also goes
absolutely.
back to kind of on being a non-violent kind of personality.
Well, and
too.
you think they're the neighbors'
yeah.
family or kids or whatever they're supposed to be, which obviously they're doing the same thing to the neighbors.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just
Yeah.
walking through this town.
Yeah.
Well, that opening scene, you know, when they're pulling by the neighbor's house and they're like, "All right, we'll meet you later on," you know,
Yeah.
and it just seems so awkward. Like and they even talk about it in the car. They're like, "That was so weird. Why were they acting so strange?" You know?
Who are those guys? And instantly I'm like, oh fuck, here we go.
Yep.
There it is. There they are.
But I like how that comes back into play at the house later with
I
the dead body and the gun. And
the one
shit.
thing that I'm kind of surprised nobody here has said, and I'll say probably my favorite. I don't know if I'll say my favorite actor, but the son is
Phenomenal.
for a child actor. Holy fucking hell,
Man, it had
Right?
no, dude.
he is.
You know why I don't-
so good.
You know why I don't bring it up? Because I feel for that kid. I feel for what kind of levels I feel like he had to go to get into that character and what he had to put himself through to get into that, dude. That's not easy
Yeah.
for a kid actor, man.
Right? Exactly. That's a terrifying thing.
That is a fucking terrifying role to
Especially
play.
with like you brought up, like, okay, I want you to act out all these really horrible scenes, but I want you to do it subtly.
Yeah.
Like that's like I feel like that's an advanced.
Like there's
That's an
not a
advanced
lot of
skill.
dialogue in this movie from the family.
No.
You know, like they're all through facial expressions.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and let's not forget Naomi Watts, dude. She is insane in this movie because like as good as she is, like I think her character has to go through more than Tim Roth's character.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Like physically, maybe emotionally, Tim Roth goes through something because of the point you were making, Mike. But physically, like as an actress, like Naomi Watts, I think is the shining star.
I think her character goes through the same emotions basically as Tim Roth does, but her character can't quit because she's not as injured as him.
I
also think she's the stronger.
Yeah,
of the
she's
two.
definitely the stronger
I'm saying
one.
that too. I'm saying that too, and that's why she can't quit.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, because it would be easier for her to go, "My son's dead, my life is over," too, just like Tim Roth's character. But Tim Roth's character gave up long before the son died.
I
in my
feel
opinion.
like but
In my
I feel
opinion.
like I feel like Tim
yeah.
Roth's giving up his. Yeah, I'm sure it has like a large portion to do with the fact that his son was just killed, but I feel like it had way more to do with the fact that he probably felt somewhat responsible for
Right.
again
Does.
not
But
taking action.
But that weight, I feel like that weight is transferred from him onto Naomi Watts' character, and she has to carry it, and she does carry it
Yeah.
throughout the movie.
One thing I will say though about Tim Roth's character, I can't say he completely gave up because there is that scene after Naomi Watts is forced to take off her clothes. He lunges and attacks one of them, Paul or somebody, and then Naomi Watts runs over and starts fighting with them too.
yeah.
And that's when the
And
kid
the
gets
kid gets
fucking
out.
shot.
Yep.
Like,
Right.
He,
Yeah, I don't think he-
sprung for, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, I don't think he totally gives up until after that kid is dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I think
The
that's
bread
just,
scene for sure, just taking it and throwing it out of
It's
his
just-
mouth. Like,
yeah.
it's just so like, I don't fucking give a shit about anything anymore.
I have a question, technical question for everybody here, because this is something about this film that I found interesting, and I want to know what everybody's take on it is. Why is none of the violence of the family shown, but the one time that you do see violence, like that is that shotgun shell with the bad guy?
I think we talked about that at the very beginning of this when we started recording. Was like,
We talked about like, oh, it was scary because the violence was off scene.
well, yeah,
But what was the manipulation there? Because
the manipulation there is quite simple. It's the manipulation of not showing the actual act of violence causes the audience to create something bigger and more terrifying in their mind. But the act of showing the violence against the bad guy was there to help give the audience that win that they were looking for, that feel of excitement.
okay,
I agree with the. It was the gotcha moment.
mm-hmm.
It was the here we're giving you what you want. You get to see one of these bastards die. It's going to be horrific and violent, and then we're going to immediately take it away from you because these people are finally getting what they deserve. They're finally getting the justice that they deserve, and you're getting to see it, and you're happy with it.
Yeah, totally.
And then we're going to take it away from you because you know what? In our world, it's not real.
Because I'll admit, like, by the time I get to that point and I see that dude get shot, I'm like, whoa, fuck yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm like,
Did
That's
everyone?
Mike
never
jumped.
mind.
Did everyone do that?
Yeah.
Did everyone do that?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I've seen it more than
Yep.
once, but I
Yeah,
always.
yeah. Kyle was there when he saw me do
Yeah.
it. I was like,
walked
"Fuck yeah!"
in. I knew what was happening because I had already seen it before. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see how Mike handles this scene.
And that was my reaction. Was like the one moment. It was the only, unfortunately, the one. Well, we'll get to it.
We'll get
get
to
to
that.
it.
With that being said, let's rate this Mammer Jammer. What are we rating it, Chris?
I think I want to go with eggs.
I think it's appropriate.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I'm going to give this.
next. You'll go first.
I'll go next because I'm used to saying that. I'll go next. I will give this 4.5. I will go that high. Do I think it's a cult film? No. Do I think it will ever be a cult film? I don't think so. Honestly, I kind of agree with Mike on this one. I don't think it will ever be a cult film. If there will be one, it will be the original, but I don't even think the original is a cult film.
No, I don't, not that I've heard. I mean,
I don't. But what I will say is this is a masterfully put together movie. And I want to watch it again. And it's rare that I get scared by movies anymore, and this movie scared the fucking shit out of me. As a person who has a family and has a kid, like I couldn't help but put myself in that situation. And it mortified me because it's like you never know. You never know. It could be someone that you think it's the next door neighbor, or just that sense of doubt, which is brought throughout the whole film of like, are these people going to make it? You have that sense of doubt. I don't know. And it's always taken away from you. I just got to, I don't know, man. I really, really didn't think I was going to like this film to begin with. And then I was fucking sold by the end of it. 4.5 for me. Go watch it. I think it's a great film.
Nice.
Let's go with Kyle.
All right. Yeah, Funny Games. I've never seen it before. I've been interested in checking out because I have seen it pop up on my queue every once in a while on Amazon as a suggested film for me. I'm gonna give this movie probably a 4. There's some stuff that I could definitely. There's some stuff I could knock for it, and we already talked about before, which is like the whole the same director making the same film 10 years later thing. Like, I definitely would much rather check out the original now just to see how they compare. But the stuff that the director does right in this film, and I'm sure in the original one, are in terms of anxiety and suspense. I bought into the film, which is ridiculous because I knew exactly the concept of the film. So I bought into it, and I think I bought into it because the acting in this film is on fucking point. Phenomenal acting from everyone. So it made it feel more real. It made it feel more. And I was like, breathing heavy in a lot of scenes because there's a lot of these long takes where the cinematography is on fucking point. Way he frames shots, incredible. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, so I'm just going to go say 4, and you should totally check this movie out. Yeah, there you go.
That is 4 from Kyle. Let's go with Mike next.
I'm giving this movie a 2. And the reason why I'm giving it not a 1 or even a half of a star is because the acting and the cinematography are fantastic, and they're spot on. But this is the red hot nickel ball of fucking films. and by that I mean, if anybody has seen those videos, it's an experiment that is done where you absolutely know what the fucking ending is going to be, and it's altogether completely unnecessary. Like, what happens when a red hot nickel ball hits a guitar? It's gonna fuck up that guitar. Like, it's
gonna burn it.
Am I gonna be dazzled by the white hot fucking nickel ball burning through wood? Yeah, to some extent, as much as I would see any fire would excite me in any way. And but it's not anything new, and it's not anything that isn't predictable. And that's how I felt about this film. I don't understand what the interest is in meddling with what we know of certain film storylines and plot lines and like fiddling with them. Yeah, if you fiddle with shit like that, if you're expecting one thing and then you tell somebody ahead of time, we're going to change it up and watch what's going to happen. Like, I already know what's going to happen. If I was like, it's not like Psycho where you absolutely believed that this woman was going to survive and then she dies like right in the middle, like right in the beginning of the film. You thought she was the big, she's the woman that's going to survive. Obviously, this is the heroine and she's going to get through this and she's going to stop the psycho at the end. And then she dies in the first like goddamn third of the film, or not even that. That was something that wasn't told to you, though. He didn't, like, it's not like Hitchcock came out and said, we're going to kill the fucking main character right off in the first 10, 15 minutes of the film. This film, again, all it's proving to me is stuff that they're telling me is already going to make me feel a certain way. So in which case, why the fuck do I need to see it? I already know that's going to happen. Other than that, like, I'm trying to even think what else I fucking hate about this film, quite honestly. Like, it irritated me. Oh, I don't understand, like, the story structure. Again, yes, this is a big, giant, hour-and-a-half long experiment that ultimately has 2 moments of conflict, really. When he gets shot, and then you're like, oh, maybe something's going to happen here, and then they rewind the fucking thing. And then right at the very end with the fucking knife. Other than that, it's basically watching a waterfall flow. Like, yeah, it's going to keep go. It's going to keep going. Nothing's going to stop this waterfall from flowing. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's even a story or it has any conflict to it. It just feels like, let's watch people die let's watch, let's go on Reddit and watch people die and watch videos over and over and over again. Like, yeah, like there's nothing happening. It's just the cruel torturing of a family with no hope or any signs of life in existence. But if you're interested in watching some top-notch fucking acting, like right up there, like I'll agree with that. God damn, did they get 2 great actors to do this? And the kid. So 3. Even everyone. Let's just say the killers are great too. They're great. But again, experiment, unnecessary too.
Chris?
I have to vote or base this vote, or it's not really a vote, is it?
Not a vote. Nobody's voting.
Okay, all right. Let me start over. Okay, I have to go a little bit more emotional on this. While I feel like you could break down the story pretty hard, and say it's predictable, that's not what really means anything to me when it comes to this film. For me, it's the emotion that it's able to conjure up inside of me. I don't have a family, but I do get connected to these characters to the point where I'm feeling like sick by the end of it because of what's happening to them. I'm like dazzled by the way these two weirdos can manipulate a family and put them in this position. The editing style, the cinematography, everything captures me and puts me in this place, in this uncomfortable place. So, for me, when I first saw it, it was really impactful. And obviously the acting is phenomenal. Like, it pretty much is what carries this entire film, because it's a big conversation piece pretty much, with subtle scenes of tension that grow into, more violent things that happen, but they're creative with it. They don't show you everything, so they leave it to your imagination. I think this movie is super well crafted, and maybe it will never be a cult film, but it's certainly one that should be watched and maybe even studied in some cases. So for that, I have to give it a 4.5. This is a movie I can watch, over and over again and pull something small away from it each time.
All right, guys, there you have it. Funny Games falls in the category of not a cult film, but should be, along with Congo.
Sitting right next door.
I feel like we should create a news section on the website. Not a cult film, but should be.
Yeah, those two films are right in there. That's our show for this week. Make sure you leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us out. We really appreciate it, and we will give you a shout out on the show. Make sure you follow us on social media at cultfilm_review on Instagram and Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can follow Mike
at Mike Salucio on Twitter.
You can follow
fast as I can get.
That was so fast. You can follow Chris at
cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Kyle.
Oh, I got the little one this time. I got the wispy
little
one.
Keef.
Yeah. It's almost like a question.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
And you can follow me at VHS Collector on Instagram.
Don't forget to go to the website.
Don't forget to go to our website, www.cultfilminreview.com. All the latest news stories in cult film. All the latest podcasts from Cult Film and Review. Just there at your fingertips.
Fingertips.
Go ahead and download it.
Fingertips.
Download the website. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Download the website?
That's it. That's how I know. That's how I know it's the end of our show. I don't even know what I'm saying
You could download
anymore.
like an archive page of the website.
What would be the point?
Where would you store that?
Anywhere.
Yeah,
you know,
can store that.
Google
Maybe
Drive.
you have an external drive.
Yeah,
An
maybe.
external
anywhere
drive.
you want.
Maybe if I
Anywhere
Take
you
that
want.
with you on your flight.
just do a flash, they're 64 gigs now.
You won't get updates
You know,
because
they're,
it's an
they're
archive.
64
but,
gigs now. They're actually like 120.
Damn.
All right, guys. So just remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next week.